Republican Senator Ted Cruz decided to go on Fox News to talk about how his daddy Trump never did anything illegal because the Mueller report says so. Take a look at this video.
Well, let me say, first of all, this weekend was a very good weekend for the president, but even more fundamentally, it was a very good weekend for the country. We've had now 2 years of this special prosecutor investigation, and during the entire time, virtually every Democrat and all the media has been breathlessly covering every minute of it, insisting collusion, 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 collusion. Well, we now have the report from the special counsel. The special counsel concluded there was no evidence, zero evidence of collusion. That's a big deal. Not only that, but we also now know that both the Attorney General, Bill Barr, and the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, concluded that none of the evidence supports charges of obstruction of justice, which means everything the Democrats and media have been talking about for 2 years was lacking in a factual basis. And the entire media has egg on their face. And what are they doing now? They're not apologizing. They're not backtracking. They're not saying, gosh, our facts were wrong. Instead, they're attacking. We're seeing every Democrat pivot to say, oh, no, never mind about conclusion. Never mind about crimes or evidence. And mark my word, Sean, the House Democrats are going to impeach the president anyway, not because of any evidence, not because of any crimes, but because of the fact that he's Donald Trump and they hate Donald Trump.
So his entire argument is based on the predicate that Democrats think that the only thing Trump has done that's illegal is collusion and obstruction of justice. I don't understand why Ted Cruz thinks that the American people are just so stupid. Like, you understand, Ted, that so many news outlets have already, suggested that Donald Trump has done many illegal things. Take, for example, the fact that Donald Trump paid hush money to 2 women with campaign finances, with donated money. That's illegal. You can't do that. And I love how Republicans, they respond to that with, well, you can pay hush money. Hush money is a legal thing. Yeah, but you can't pay it with campaign finances. That's illegal. That's illegal. You can't pay hush money with finances that you got from donations, right? That's not towards your, like when you suggest that it's toward your campaign, that becomes illegal. So understand this, like what Ted Cruz is really trying to do, and I know he knows about Michael Cohen's payment. The check is literally like public knowledge now. You can literally Google search Michael Cohen's check that was sent to Michael Cohen from Donald Trump. It's public knowledge that this was an illegal thing. It's just a matter of, are the House Democrats going to do something about it? My answer is probably not. My answer is probably no, because Nancy Pelosi is a hack. It's a Democratic hack. She's an establishment Democrat. She doesn't actually care about impeaching Trump because she kind of likes him, to be honest. But let's go back to Ted Cruz for a second. Understand this. Ted Cruz is trying to muddy the waters. He absolutely knows what's going on here, but he wants to muddy the waters. What he's suggesting is that the Democrats have lost and we need to completely ignore anything else that Donald Trump might have done that's illegal. And this is actually a strategy that's typically working. Understand this. There are a lot of media outlets that decided to report just so much on the Mueller report, and they put all of their eggs in this basket. Now, I did a video on this, and I talked about how, like, I never did a video on Mueller. I never wanted to because I never had the overwhelming evidence to suggest that Donald Trump did obstruction of justice or did collusion with Russia. I didn't see that. And so I saw no point in just putting so much pressure and in investigating this, because in my view, we didn't have the overwhelming evidence. I believe that you need significant evidence to conduct an investigation. I don't think that you should just conduct an investigation on a whim, right? And I think that's why I did my video on TYT. I talked about how TYT just jumped into that and said, yeah, let's go through this investigation. Let's go through all of these different things. Whereas you have people who like Kyle Klinsky, who did many videos on how we shouldn't be looking into collusion. We should be looking into the Michael Cohen payments. And that's kind of where I leaned towards. I didn't want to look at Russia. I wanted to look at the evidence that we already had. So what Ted Cruz doesn't understand is that we have that evidence. Like, the evidence exists. And so he muddies the waters. And so did, all the media news outlets. So they all come out with all these news stories about Mueller. And understand this, if you go on any news media outlet right now, you're going to see like 90% of the stories have to do with Mueller. And what drives me nuts, and I think honestly corporate media news outlets are doing this on purpose, there are so many corporate media news outlets that are reporting the heck out of Robert Mueller. Like they're talking about him more than anything I've ever seen. And they're doing so in a way that's suggesting that we should keep going, we should keep digging. The fight's not over yet, right? And in my view, that projects this message that Democrats were wrong the whole time. Like, understand this. When I said that TYT was wrong, what I meant was like their methodology was wrong. The way they went into this was completely wrong. They decided they wanted to focus so much of their time in journalism efforts on Robert Mueller. And what that does is it skews the message. Because now that Robert Mueller's report comes out, he was a Republican, guys. You really expected him to nail Trump on something. Of course he's not going to do that. He probably has a political interest not to do that. Now, does he like Donald Trump? Probably not. Probably thinks that he's a deplorable to some degree. But understand this, like, we didn't have the overwhelming evidence, but we're still doing hundreds of stories. TYT did hundreds of stories, and I hated that. And now we're doing hundreds of stories that we can't let it go. And this is how Fox News right now is becoming incredibly unpopular. They do so many stories on Hillary Clinton. When, I mean, granted, they're older viewers, which is like 99.99% of them. They look at those news articles and news videos and they say, yeah, we need Hillary Clinton in jail, get her in jail, you know, lock her up, right? They're still on that bandwagon, despite the fact that like, that was like 4 years ago. Actually, it's probably more like 8 years ago now. I don't know. Benghazi was a long time ago, guys, but they're still stuck on it so much. But that's what makes Fox News, in a sense, a terrible news media outlet, is because they don't stop talking about it. My take is never talk about it in the first place until you're 100% convinced that you can convince the American people in a very simple way. And Michael Cohen did that in a heartbeat. He started his entire statement before Congress recently with a picture of a check written by Donald Trump and signed by Donald Trump to Michael Cohen for hush money. That's how you do it. It's super simple. It's a picture. You don't really have to talk much, and the American people get it. And they're like, well, we're done here. That's super simple and easy, right? It's like going into a courtroom, right? If you want to make a really good case, have a gun with the fingerprints on it and say, these are his fingerprints. I'm done here. We're done here. Right? Like, why spend so much time dedicated towards a story? So understand that what Ted Cruz is saying is slightly correct. That yes, media outlets are taking this to the extreme. I understand that. But at the same time, like, this dude's a moron. This dude's an absolute moron to think that the American people actually believe that Robert Mueller was investigating specifically the only things that Donald Trump could have done that were illegal. Despite the fact that we already have evidence that he did something illegal. 100% evidence. Simple, easy, and the American people get it. And Ted Cruz is a moron.